Presidential Report Card for George W. Bush by Aaron Mostoller, Maggie Huell, and Ellie Semt. Background of George W. Bush includes: he was born in Milton, Massachusetts on June 12, 1924. He served in the Navy during World War II from 1942 until September 1945, and became the youngest pilot in the Navy. Bush was discharged from the Navy in September 1945 and enrolled at Yale University. He became the Republican Party chairman in Harris County, Texas. Bush ran for the U.S. Senate seat against incumbent Democrat Senator Ralph Yarburg. In 1966, Bush ran for the seat in the U.S. Senate House of Representatives from Houston's 7th District. In Congress, Bush gained a seat in coveted Ways and Means Committee, which was rare for a freshman congressman. In December 1970, President Richard Nixon nominated Bush as the U.S. ambassador to the UN, though President Nixon removed Bush from the UN in 1973 and asked him to serve against a chairman in the Republican National Committee. On October 13, 1987, George W. Bush announced his candidacy for the Republican nomination for president. As chief legislator, George W. Bush received an grade A. In this role, the president may suggest, request, and insist that the Congress enact laws that he believes are needed. As chief legislator, the president shapes policy. Congress supported a massive tax cut proposed by George Bush and generally showed little opposition to his policies. A famous piece of legislation under George W. Bush is the No Child Left Behind Act, which aims to close the achievement gap, measures student performance, provides options to parents with children in low-performing schools, and targets more federal funding to low-income schools. For chief executive, he received a C. The president is boss for millions of government workers in the executive branch, deciding on how the laws of the U.S. are to be enforced and choosing officials and advisors to help run the executive branch. Bush presidency was seen as a success in the foreign affairs but a failure in the domestic affairs. The voters did not believe that the success in foreign affairs was enough to overshadow the economic recession. Bush came into office promising continuity of the Reagan years, and it started slow. He didn't propose radical change or announce sweeping domestic programs. He was constrained by a large budget deficit, limited federal revenue to fund programs, and Democratically controlled Congress. For guardian of the economy, he received a D. In this role, the president is concerned with things such as unemployment, high taxes, and the general prosperity of the country. The president does not control the economy, but he is expected to help it run smoothly. Positive actions include: fought for tighter controls over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, did not completely start the financial deficit, instead he inherited it. Some negative actions were GDP growth, jobs, median incomes, financial market performance, and failed to move Congress. For Commander-in-Chief, he also received a D. The President is in charge of the U.S. Armed Forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. The President decides where troops shall be stationed, where ships shall be sent, and how weapons shall be used. Some positive actions were: he launched an attack on Afghanistan following the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. He announced global war on terror. Some negative actions include: put greater emphasis on domestic economic issues. Immediately after the attacks on 9/11, Bush made misleading statements and projected weaknesses and indecision. In chief of party, he received a B. In this role, the president helps members of his political party get elected or appointed to office. Some positive actions include: supported Republican Jerry Kilgore for governor of Virginia, committed to cutting taxes because of the Republican Party preference, involved in intensive party building projects. Some negative actions include: Democratic Party won a large number of seats in the House during midterm elections. Some of his nominations for federal judgeships were blocked by Senate Democrats. For Chief of State, he also received a D. Being chief of state essentially means being a figurehead for the nation. It includes being an inspiring example for the American people. For positive actions, ratings were high after the 9/11 attack, strong support among the conservatives. Negative actions include ratings started to decline as the economy suffered and the Iraq War continued, initiated by his administration. He lost ratings after his response to Hurricane Katrina. For chief diplomat, he received a C. Chief diplomat is the role of the president in recognizing foreign governments, making treaties, and making executive agreements. Some positive actions are his acts to help African countries was a success. He also was able to overthrow Saddam Hussein. Some negative actions are he was unsuccessful in securing Iraq. He was unable to attack Syria, Colombia, and Iran for terrorism. For the bonus, in team spirit, he received an A. Bush was a cheerleader at his college, Yale, head cheerleader at high school. He was rowdy, outspoken supporter of school teams. For overall grade, he received a C. Although President did well in some categories, he did extremely poor in others. He received average grades in some too. When added together, he received a low C. According to the results, George W. Bush was not a very successful president. If he stepped up in some areas, he may have been an overall better president.